From Little League to the big leagues and everywhere in between. From one stage to another. Passion is my middle name. I'm J.J. Davis. This is In Focus. Now, I first saw this guy summer 2002, August, Husker football fall camp. I'm the new guy in town from the Fox station in Omaha, so I take a gander down to Lincoln to shoot some B-roll, as we call it. I see this big guy. I don't really know who he is, but I see this big guy. He's kind of intimidating. But then I get to talk to him, and he's really the nicest guy in the world. Since then, he's worked all over the world. He's worked with the Olympics. He's worked with the various networks as a cameraman. He's worked at the College World Series, etc., etc., etc. Joining me right now is a big guy with an even bigger heart, Matt Kelly.
What's up, JJ?
Long time ago.
Yeah, it's been a minute, right? Yeah.
And as we get older, it seems like it's even longer ago.
Yeah. It's been a lot. We've done a lot of things and been a lot of places and
That's right.
shared a lot of sidelines and courts and all that kind of stuff. So it's been good though. It's been a good run.
It's been really good,
Yeah.
and for you, it's been a really good run because you're from your hometown here in Omaha.
Right.
You grew up. Were you always the biggest kid on the block?
I mean, I think I was pretty big when I was born. I don't know exactly. I probably should have asked my mom, but I think I was a long baby and big. My mom said that my shirts didn't fit. They were like half down to my belly or whatever. But
Now you're 6'4". He's a big guy.
Yeah.
Now we always had that guy or girl in the neighborhood that played sports. Remember?
Yeah.
They were always better than us because of puberty or whatever. Were you that guy?
I was tall. I mean, I've been this tall since 8th grade.
Right.
I was not the best athlete by any means.
Mm-hmm.
I was a decent athlete. I mean, I was a decent basketball player and growing up. I played Gladiators back in the day. That was now everybody's a Gladiator.
Right.
But back in the day, it was very select. So 7 kids made the basketball team, and then you were on it for the next year, and then the younger team made it. But I was not a spectacular athlete, but I wound up being a pretty decent basketball player, and then I ran track in high school too.
Yes, he did. Yes, he was. Back in the day. Now, he posts this every year on social media during the state boys basketball tournament. 1989, the then Millard South Patriots.
Indians.
Indians.
We were the Indians.
Indians back then?
Yeah.
Even back then?
I'm not a Patriot.
Okay.
I'm an Indian, man.
Okay.
Very proud Indian.
All right. 89 state basketball championships. Guess who tips in the winning shot for Millard South to win the state basketball championship?
Yeah. That was about 100 pounds ago. So I'm 270 right now, and I was 170, 6'4", 170. Scrawny dude.
I've seen that video. You're like this.
Yeah. That was still one of the top. It's probably like, I mean, I've had a lot of.
Come on, Kel.
No. That's like a top 5. That's a top 5 night in my life for sure. I got free donuts the next morning at the donut shop, but I don't know that I ever got any really special preferential treatment after that. But every year, I mean, I still have people during that time of year that they message me or they remember it. So yeah, it was absolutely. And the best part is I got to share it with like my best friends. Like I grew up with Dale Ribble from 4th. I played basketball with Dale from 4th grade. We had Scott Bream, who was the male athlete of the year in '89. He went on to play. He committed to Jim Hendry at Creighton, but then played. Didn't go to Creighton, but then got drafted by the Padres. Brian Nielsen was our All-State center. Joe Grote was our other guard. So
he's got them all. He knows all the names.
Yeah.
All right. So you go to UNO.
No, I went to Wayne State.
Oh.
Wayne State.
Who knew?
Yeah, I played in Wayne America for a year.
And then?
Then I went to Oklahoma State for 1 year.
My gosh.
And I met a Southern girl from Comanche, Oklahoma. And
we all know how that goes.
As soon as we got down there, we broke up and I stayed. But I was there the year Big Country was a freshman, Bryant Reeves.
That's right.
So I worked in their sports information department. But I always knew I wanted to do television, and then I came back to Omaha, and I got an internship at Channel 3 for my last 3 years.
Did you graduate from UNO?
I did, yeah. Okay. So I went to 3 schools in 6 years, graduated from UNO, but my last 3 years at UNO, I was working at KET.
Right, because you always said when you were young, I always knew I wanted to be a TV sportscaster
100%.
as long as I can remember.
100%, yeah. People would ask me, like, what do you want to be when you grow up? I was like, I'm going to be a sportscaster. Like, oh, you're going to be a sportscaster? And I was like, yeah, that's what I'm going to do.
KM3, you intern, and then something happens, and next thing you know, he's at another station as talent and a producer.
Yeah, Greg Peterson back in the day was the sports director at KETV, and they were going to have him do news at 5 and sports at 6 and 10. So they needed a sports producer. So I was out one night and Greg called me over to his booth. He's like, hey, how would you like to come to work for me? And I was like, full-time sports? And he said, yeah. So I left Channel 3 after 3 years and went to KETV for a year and a half. And then I went to Des Moines, Iowa for
weekend sports anchor.
Yeah, with John Walters over at WI. And then I got the sports director job at KLKN in Lincoln. And I was there for 4 years until April 17th.
We all remember the dates.
2000 when I remember when I got fired.
Remember the dates.
I remember when I got fired, man. If you haven't been fired in television,
that's right.
You haven't worked in television.
That's right.
It is what it is, man.
That's right. So how did you make the switch from in front up to behind?
Well, obviously when you're at those smaller markets, Omaha, Des Moines, and Lincoln, I mean, they're decent sized markets, but they're still, we shot our own stuff, right? I always had a camera on my shoulder.
That's right.
And that was my passion. Like the on-air stuff was cool, but you know, my passion is being on the sidelines, being on the, you know, underneath the basket, being on a ring.
You always are. You always are.
So that for me, and not everybody's like that. I mean, there's some guys and ladies that, you know, their desire is to be on air. And like, while I didn't mind it and I actually enjoyed it, my passion is actually shooting and having a camera on my shoulder. So when I got fired in 2003, I had a buddy that had been our chief photographer in Lincoln, was back at Metro Sports in Kansas City, his hometown. Mm-hmm. So I started doing freelance work. And one time a guy was supposed to do like remember back in the day, there were pay-per-view football games in the preseason. It was a Husker game. And he's like, hey, I can't do this. Can you fill in for me? And I did that. And then I was like, how do I get paid for this? And the lady that I worked for said, hey, here's what you said. And I was like, wait a minute, I'm going to get paid this for doing this one time. And I realized that the freelance world is where I wanted to be. And I've been very fortunate. Like I've been very fortunate, and that's, you know, but I love having a camera on my shoulder. That's my life.
But tell the folks how fortunate you've been. I most recently saw you on TV, NHL, Eastern Conference Finals, Florida, New York Rangers. They're flying you back and forth. I seen you between the benches. Yeah. Tell the folks how fortunate you've been, all the stuff you've done.
Yeah, it's crazy. I mean, if somebody would have told me when I got fired in 2003 that, oh, by the way, you know, you're getting fired now, but you're going to do 3 Olympics. You know, I was in Sochi for 7 weeks, Rio for a month, Pyeongchang for a month. If they would have told me all that stuff, and all the stuff that I've been able to do since then,
that's right.
I would have thought they were crazy, but you know, it is what it is. And not that I didn't enjoy being on air and working in the affiliates, but I would get fired live every day on TV for a month to be where I'm at.
But you talk about still being on the air, excuse me, and missing it. You started something here in town that still lives and breathes even without you. Yeah.
I forget what year it was, but we started the Thursday Night Lights football broadcast. It was on KXVO. And I had awesome, you know, amazing. The fact that it was on a Thursday night was very beneficial for us because we could get the top camera operators and audio people. So because they could do our games on Thursday night and then they could still go do their, you know, college stuff or whatever they did on the weekend. So very fortunate, man. I mean, just so many people. It would take me a long time to name everybody, but they know who they are. But it was awesome.
I've always said, this guy is a shaker and a mover. He always gets what he wants, but he does so in a nice, very classy way. 2019, what happens?
2019.
You moved.
Oh, yeah. I moved to Las Vegas, Nevada.
Why?
I had done the last 4 years of HBO boxing, and when I was in Vegas, I would just see that there was a market out there for what I did. And I would talk to the production people out there, and I kind of got to be friendly with them, some of them. And I've always liked Vegas. I'm not a big gambler or partier or anything, but I like the vibe, and I like I like living in a place that the rest of the world wants to come to.
It's where the action is.
Yeah, and it's become even more so now,
Right.
because now we have the Raiders are there. The Golden Knights have proven that hockey can exist in the desert, and they've won a.
You've spent time with the Cup. You've
Yeah,
spent time with the
I drank
Stanley
out of the
Cup.
cup. Drank out of the cup, and I actually had it on my. I started a podcast.
Yes, he has his own podcast. Tell him about that as well.
Yeah, it's called Both Sides of the Camera, since I've been on both sides of the camera. Not really, didn't take a brain surgeon to figure out that. But yeah, so I had the Stanley Cup on my very first episode, and then I got to drink out of it. So my buddies.
You were in the corner during the Super Bowl, the winning touchdown pass with the Chiefs. He's handheld in the corner.
Yeah, I was probably from me to, this camera from there, which is about, what, 15
Right.
feet, 10 feet. And I was the second camera out there with the CBS, and I was doing the in-house, but I was on the 49er sideline. I was right in that end zone, and, my camera lens is hitting like Travis Kelce in the helmet, and it was fun. But those are the moments we live for, right? They don't happen very often.
And you can't think, because if you think, you're screwed.
Yeah, and again, my height, height does benefit me, and then I'll even hold the camera up as well.
I've seen you do that.
And so those are the moments we live for. They don't happen all that often, but when they do, you're just like, people ask me why I do what I do.
That's right.
Those are the moments.
And why I do what I do, because this moment, I can't wait. Gone to the chapel and we're gonna get married. At the time of this taping, he's engaged, but at the time this show airs,
We'll be married. Yeah.
With who?
Tina. Yeah, my best friend, my lady that's been with me through everything. We've been together a year and a half now.
You proposed at the zoo.
Proposed a year ago, June 14th, proposed of 2023, proposed on the Sky Safari at the zoo, and got engaged. And then a few months later, life changed.
This isn't easy, because I've known Matt and I care about him. You changed. Can you talk about that? It happened a year ago. He finds out.
Yeah, July 20th.
Should I let you talk? You know how we are on TV. They just let the guy go.
Yeah, July 20th of last year, got diagnosed with colon cancer, and there's stage 4. Spread to my abdomen and my lungs, but it's all good. I mean, I've had as of right now, I've had 21 rounds of chemo, 21 treatments of chemo, and got an ostomy bag that I'll have forever. I'll be on chemo for the rest of my life, but I'm alive,
You're alive, and he's a fighter. I love you, Matt.
Love you, brother.
I had to bring it up.
It's all good.
But listen, you have to understand, he doesn't want a pity party. This guy is a fighter. He's living life. He's from the Midwest. He's from Omaha, and he knows how to fight. And he still knows how to get what he wants. And I have admired you and looked up to you. You're an emotional man, and that's why we all love you, because you're not only good. He's not only good, but he's a champion off the field, off the camera as well.
I appreciate it.
We're praying for you, big dog.
It's been a lot, but I don't get emotional. Like, I don't feel sorry for myself, and I still absolutely have it better than so many people. But what gets me emotional is just all the support that I and Tina have received. It's been overwhelming. Like, it's humbling. You don't feel like you deserve it, but it's been it's been amazing, and that's what gets me emotional. Like I said, I have what I have, and I'm not going anywhere. I'm really not. I don't feel like I'm going to die anytime soon. And
you're not.
No.
But I want you to know, you use the word amazing. This has been amazing for me to have you on our show. And I'm sorry, but we all care about you.
I appreciate it, brother.
Thanks.
Yeah, it means a lot.
Good luck down the road. You know I will see you.
Yep.
All right.
Good to see you.
Mine, this is tough. Coming up next, we're going to go to a barn, but it's not red. It's blue. After the break. It had to be the late 2000s. I'm the sports director at KPTN, the Fox affiliate in Omaha, Nebraska. And I hadn't done theater in over 15 years. And of course, when you're a theater guy, you always have the bug. So I got the bug. I'm scouring audition pages, etc. And I see this show at the Omaha Community Playhouse, 12 Angry Men. And I go, man, it's 12 guys. I gotta have a shot. So I go. Next thing you know, I play the foreman in 12 Angry Men. And the guest director, Susan Clement. Well, joining me right now is the producing artistic director at the BLUEBARN Theater, Susan Clement. Crazy, isn't it?
It is crazy. How long ago was that?
It seems like
150 years?
we're a little old, like 1,000 years ago.
Right.
Tell me about the early years for you growing up, as you told me, in Florida and then Seattle.
Oh, let's see. I lived in Florida, until I was 14. I had scoliosis. So, long story short, I was a hardcore gymnast.
She was a gymnast, that's right.
Yeah.
She was a Class A gymnast at one time.
Yeah, training for the Olympics. With those of you who are older, Kathy Johnson.
That's right.
Right. And then I was diagnosed with scoliosis at 14, had surgery, kind of ended my gymnastics career, which was fine. It actually was kind of an amazing time for me as a kid.
How so?
At 14, I felt very lucky to be able to have the surgery. It was only the 7th surgery of that kind, and my spine was traveling at a rate that they said it could paralyze me. And so my parents and I discussed, and they said, "Do you want to have the surgery?" I said, "Absolutely." And it actually was my first film. Seriously.
Only you were the subject of it.
Right. Yeah. So then, super successful, didn't have any issues with it, grew 4 inches on the operating table, changed my whole physique, kind of a crazy thing. And then we ended up moving to Seattle.
So you moved to Seattle. Where does theater, the arts, enter the picture?
Oh, that's a good question. I haven't thought about that for a long time. After I graduated high school, I did theater in high school. I actually did 12 Angry Men and Women, which is hilarious. Yeah.
I mean, when did you know you had to do that kind of thing? You had to perform, or did you get it from your gymnastics days?
No, I knew when I went to community college in Seattle, and one of the theater teachers, her husband was the president of the League of Professional Actors Training Programs, the top 10 in the country at the time, and I was taking a class from her, and she suggested that I audition professionally.
All right, so you get out of high school, then you head to the right coast. You go to SUNY Purchase, the State University at Purchase Theater Conservatory. Sounds big time.
Yeah, it was one of the top 10 in the country. It was there with Yale and Juilliard, but I didn't go until I was 24. I mean, I worked at Blue Cross Blue Shield for a while, and then I went back to community college and I auditioned.
Trying to find yourself kind of thing?
Yeah, I didn't want to waste time or money not going to college and not knowing what I wanted. So then I finally got my focus and knew my path.
All right, so SUNY Purchase is called, I've seen where it's been quoted as saying it's one of the top theater incubators for creative talents. Yeah. And you were one of them. How did you grow? What did you learn?
Well, it was a company of 32 young adults from all over the country who had auditioned and were accepted into our acting company. And throughout the 4 years of training, we were cut down. I think we ended up at 14 of us. Wow. Ended up being there. So it was a hardcore program. I mean, I learned a process that still today I use for my directing, and that process has also, BLUEBARN celebrates its 35th season. We're just ending it now. And that process has really been the catalyst and driving force to keep the artistic quality up over the years.
Speaking of the process, how much of you was a performer at one time, and how much of you is a director?
I was trained to be a performer. I was not trained to be a director.
And so?
But now I'm directing is my calling.
When did you realize that?
When I was directing a show, The Night Larry Kramer Kissed Me with Houston Walkinshaw, who was in my acting company. And it was the first show I ever directed, and I just knew.
All right. So you graduate, you levitate toward the Midwest. My question is, why didn't you go to New York?
Well, I was in New York. I mean,
Upstate.
I did go. No, I lived in New York. I had an agent, auditioned. I worked at a switchboard as a switchboard operator.
The old days. That's
from midnight to 8 a.m. so I could audition during the
I've
day.
been there. I've done that.
Yeah,
Room
yeah.
service waiter overnight in a hotel.
There you go. There you go. And I should have written all of those stories down. It'd be a great book. And then, 3 people from my acting company
Yes.
ended up in Omaha. Too long of a story. Right. And about a year after being in New York,
Correct.
After all that training of opening up, being emotional, being open, New York just was not for me. And so I called the guys and said, I'm coming out. And they were like, don't you even want to come out here and see if you like it? And I said, nope. I know I'm supposed to go there.
Well, you've also gone on record as saying in New York, it's more structure. It's as you put it, a hierarchy of arbiters that was a little restrictive for creative talent such as yourself.
Yeah. I mean, I trained with those 3 actors, Kevin, Nils, and Houston, and we had a language and a connection that I knew the type of work they were doing out here. They'd been here a year, and I was like, why wouldn't I go to a place that I knew all of my training and everything would be honored, and I'd grow that way too.
How did the name Blue Barn come to pass?
I can't tell you, or I'd have to kill you.
All right, so the Blue Barn is in various spaces, as we now say today, for 27 years. And you yourself have gone on record as saying that, I had to adjust my shows and I had to keep in mind the spaces that I was in. They were somewhat restrictive.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we started on 13th. Then we moved. We were without a home for about 3 years. Right. And then we got the space downtown in the old market. And all those spaces were conducive to a new shape of theater, right?
Which was a challenge.
Yeah, and it great.
And you could still grow.
Oh, absolutely. I kind of loved the old space in the sense that we had the pillars in the middle of the stage. You did some work there.
Yes.
In that space. But now our own home is
You hit the nail on
magic.
the head. 2015, 10th and Pacific's, the Blue Barn Theater. And you've said, we define ourselves now. We get to do basically in every way, shape, or form what we want.
That's right. And we always have. I mean, our mission,
to provoke thought,
emotion, action, and change, right? And we've never done mission creep, which is a real danger for theaters, I think, trying to get people to come. We do the work that makes our heart full of passion.
Well, as I like to say, you've always led. You lead. Everybody else, to a degree, follows.
Well, that's nice of you. Thank you.
Now, what kind of person are you outside the barn?
I'm not outside the barn very often.
How would your friends describe you?
Or
you'd hope they describe
I know, right? I think they would say I was silly. I don't show that side of me very often.
All right. Let me tell you a story about Susan, the director. I'm lucky to get a part in Our Town. okay? I played Professor Willard. I'm doing a scene, and Susan is literally standing right next to me going, stop acting, stop acting, stop acting. And of course, I don't know what the heck I'm doing. I'm just like, my God.
That's not true.
So that's the kind of director I think you are. You have a vision, and you want to see that vision.
Yeah, I mean, I would hope as a director you have a vision, the narrative of the story, but also people who have talent, like you have talent, natural talent. No, you do. And sometimes we don't trust that as an
That's
actor,
correct.
right?
That's
so
correct.
then I'm your third eye to say, just breathe and talk.
Correct.
And there you are, right?
I'm old school.
Yep. I'm old
I've
school
covered
too.
a lot of sports, a lot of screaming, a lot of coaches grabbing face masks, a lot of that stuff. And
Well,
I've
I
always,
don't do that.
Well, I know. It's a different kind of stage. But I've always felt like you're old school. You're tough. I know leaving rehearsals at times in a couple of shows that I've done, I've heard the actors quibble and quabble about how difficult you are, how tough you are. But I like it because that's the era that I came from. What do you say to that?
I don't think that I'm tough. I think that I just expect people to fulfill what they can do on stage. And I think a lot of people underestimate themselves. And each person I direct, I try to connect with them and create a connection between the two of us. Different for like the show I'm doing right now, 7 women, but I've directed every single one differently because you get to know how somebody can hear you and how somebody wants to be talked to and what is the most supportive way. And some people like to be pushed like you do.
To me, you're like a coach. You're sitting there in a basketball game and it's 10 seconds to go and you look down the bench and it's a feel thing and you know how you can communicate with people. So in the end, we just have a little teeny bit of time. The journey.
The journey?
For you.
Do you mean like future?
Yes, your journey all the way to here, to now. Oh. Real quick. Good, bad?
Great. I mean, who gets to create work like the Blue Barn has? We get to do what we want to do, and the audiences, our patrons are incredible and come to every show, no matter what the heartbeat of that show
Amen.
is.
That's right. That's Susan Clement, producing artistic director. I'm on the shot now, forget it, of the Blue Barn Theater. I want to thank you from the bottom of my heart by joining me today.
Thank
and
you,
as I
JJ.
always like to say with Susan and myself, this latest edition of In Focus, thanks, and we'll see you around town.